Hello, good evening. Um, Lovely to see you, lovely to be seen by you. Good evening, how are we doing today? How's the day gone? No responses yet. Hello, welcome. Thank you, Fola Isaac, for joining us. Thank you so much for joining the live session, live discussion today. Welcome. How are you doing? You're the only one here, so let's talk. How are you doing? Hi. Hi, babe. Welcome. Thank you for joining. I hope we've had a great day so far. It's been a wet season, but one moment. Right. Sorry for the distraction. So how are you? Good? I hope. I'm good. I'm doing all right. Thank you for joining me today. So we just do like we usually do, a few minutes, and then we get right into our discussion. I'm waiting for our guest. We'll be having a guest speaking with us today, joining in. So I'm holding on for her as well, so that we can get this conversation on the road. So tell me, just me now, how are you? Okay, you are doing great. That's good to know. Thank you for sharing that. Fola Isaac, how are you? Doing good? How are the children? How has it been? Are they back in school yet? Ours are not. We are observing, we are watching and waiting, so that we can make an informed decision. It's a scary season, but by God's grace, because we put everything at the doorstep of God's grace these days, because we really can't do much by ourselves. So I pray that everything and everyone would turn out well. Things will turn out fine. We would all stay safe. We will take responsibility, and what we cannot do, we will have God do that for us. So I'm waiting for Rejoice now. Miss Olori is a child psychologist. She's an educator. She's a family and education consultant. She's a yogi. I don't know if we'll have time to talk about that, but she's interested in yoga, and she loves books, partnerships, memes, tea, and wine. Interesting. Very interesting way to describe herself. Welcome. Hello, Tolani Balogun. Thank you for joining us this evening. So I'm waiting for Rejoice to join in, so that we can get this show on the road and make the most of our time. I should have music for oh, she's here. Yay, she's here. Hi, Rejoice. Welcome. So I'm just going to do your introduction, and then you can join the live, and then we can start the session. Thank you so much for making the time, Rejoice. We appreciate your sacrifice. Thank you, Miss Olori. Thank you for joining us. So Rejoice Olori is an educator, a learning strategist with years of experience in teaching, training, child development, and psychology. For years, she has served as the school psychologist and counselor, where she uses her position to tackle children suffering abuse, neglect, and she has advocated for improving executive functions and social emotional learning in children between ages 3 and 12. There are cognitive and physical activities that engage attention, memory, cognitive flexibility, and self-regulation are part of under her purview, right? So on community service, Rejoice has contributed her quota for a couple of NGOs focused on children and education. She's also a regular contributor and speaker at various conferences, seminars, and media platforms locally and internationally, such as this one. Now, this is internationally. So we're so grateful and appreciative that she has given us her time this evening. Furthermore, she's an advocate of inclusive education, child psychology, developing evidence-based and innovative teaching methods. She's currently writing her book. That's amazing, Rejoice. The core of her work is in developmental psychology and learning programs for the average Nigerian child and curriculum development. She would like to be identified as a teacher, also known as teeth shiner. So let's make welcome at this time. Drum roll. Okay, I'm clapping. I'm clapping in anticipation of her joining the live session. Hi, Rejoice. We're waiting on you.
Hello.
We're getting there. Hi.
Oh, it's fun.
Hi. Yes, a little dark. Yay, there you are. How are you?
I'm very well. Good to see you again.
Lovely to see you too. I'm so grateful. Thank you for making the time with the short notice situation. Thank you for joining us today. And we're ready. We're ready to learn and absorb as much as you're willing to squeeze out and spell in this short period of time. So today we're discussing learning styles, right? We're talking about children and how they learn. And Miss Olori will be exposing the hidden parts of this conversation to us, things that we may have taken for granted as parents that we should know and we should put to use, right? But when you don't even understand how your child learns, then how do you transfer knowledge from yourself to that child? How do you keep that child in an environment where learning can take place? So, Ms. Rejoice, please take the floor. Please tell us what exactly we mean by learning style.
Okay, learning style.
Yes.
In a simple form, a learning style is just a preferential way in which an individual absorbs, processes, retain information. That's basically what learning style is.
Okay, so an individual here now being a child, right? So how a child absorbs and retains information. That's what you said, right? Okay.
Yeah,
excellent. And processes information. So how a child retains and processes information, receives, retains, and processes information. Okay, thank you. So why is this important for us to know as parents and as teachers and as people who are responsible for children, people who communicate with children, and we want them to absorb these things? So why is it important for us to know this?
Why it's important for, I didn't get that.
Why is it important for us to be discussing learning styles? Why is it necessary? Why is this information useful for us?
Okay. It's very important for us to talk about this learning styles because it doesn't only help the child to communicate effectively, it also helps the child to now learn smarter, not harder. You understand? It's easier for the child to comprehend information. It doesn't have to work so hard trying to absorb or comprehend that sort of information. This way, it's easy to maneuver and work with what works for the child.
So it's like a language.
Yes, and that way it helps both parties to communicate. Okay, now in this situation, parents and children and even teachers, it helps communication. It helps also communicate effectively. You don't have to keep doing it the wrong way.
So would it be correct to say it's like I said, a language? So you're understanding how this child absorbs information, like you told us. So you're speaking that language to that child in the way the child is able to understand.
Exactly.
That's one way to
It
put
should be
it.
correct that way. Yes, that's one way to put it. Right.
Right. Right. Thank you. Okay. So what are the various learning styles that we have that we may come across? Network is doing us a number this evening.
Okay. Am I
Yes.
still live?
Yes, you are.
Okay. The various learning styles. We have three major learning styles anyway, but we have a lot of them, but we can actually group them into three major learning styles. We have the
Hmm.
auditory, that's you processing and learning through the ears,
Right.
visual, the eyes, and kinetic, done by doing, right? The process by doing, they learn by doing. So for an auditory learner, obviously
Hmm.
audiobooks work for them. Music, reading, songs, everything in that line has to do with your voice, with them listening works. Then for visuals, they have to more of pictures, more of something they can see, you know. Why
Right.
kinetic, more of they have to be active. They're one of those you must have seen a kinetic using a kinetic learner and then trying to teach them or trying to make them learn by with audio or with audiobooks, for instance, it wouldn't work because these ones are always they wanting to touch, wanting to feel, wanting to do it. They want to be active, you know. So those
Yes.
are the three learning styles now for children. Then if we were to go higher, we can now go okay for adults. We learn by we learn from our mentors. You know, there's a word for that, and then they're just so good. But for kids, so it's just broken down to three. That doesn't mean a child can have more than one learning style, but there's always
Right. Right.
special one. Yeah,
Dominant
there's
one.
always one which is higher. Exactly. It's possible for someone to have all three learning
Hmm.
styles. Very, very possible. But as time
Right.
goes on, if you understand yourself, you know which is better, which you would prefer, the learning style you would prefer. Yes,
Right.
that
So,
would work
so
for
like
you.
you said, it's possible for a child to have more than one.
Mm-hmm. Very possible. Very, very
So I think
possible.
what schools do is they do all three, and then they hope the child that each child picks their own there, kind of.
Yes, that
Because
now
I don't think, yeah,
I
right.
usually say this, even though parents are always offended when I say this. It's not really the duty of a school teacher
Also, right.
for you to go to it's a new session, right? For a child class teacher, introduce yourself as a parent, not because that introduce yourself to the teacher, you tell the teacher, the new teacher, about your child. Because every session the teacher is yeah, the teacher is challenged with new students. So it takes time for a teacher to understand a particular child, for instance. Now it's your own duty because this is your own child for years. Go there, you explain to the teacher, this is my child's learning style. These are his likes
Mm,
and dislikes. It works easily. Now it's very easy for that teacher to work with your child. There won't be challenges or issues or anything. So that way, if I know that
confusion.
yes, that way if I know that your child learns better through pictures, now that's the visual learner. I know that I have to be doing more of picture books with him, ask him to draw, ask him to do some things that would revolve around his own learning style, rather than doing just the general thing. It might be difficult anyway, because the teacher now has to be working with every. It might now be
according to their
complicated
own style.
in a way, but the introduction you did or you made during the first day of school would help the teacher know your child better, and that works. It works very well.
Right. Very, very helpful. Thank you so much. So auditory, visual, kinetic. Right. Okay. So how do we find out? You've talked about observation, right, on the part of the teacher. But at home, how do I identify my child's learning style? What things should I look out for to confirm or tell me, okay, this is the dominant learning style of my child, to confirm my suspicions, to tell me, okay, no, this one is not going to work? What things should I look out for as a parent?
Okay, they're actually in the little things that we overlook generally. Very little things. For instance, like I said, okay, I'll give you an instance. I once worked with a child who was a kinetic learner, right? She's always hyperactive everywhere. So I personally went to the kids' school to tell the teacher to make her the class captain. It's funny, right? But then that helps her because she's hyper, she's everywhere.
Right.
She wants to be involved, she wants to do this, she wants to do that. So once you make her the class captain, for instance, now she's in charge of making sure you know what the role of the class captain is in the class. So that makes her learn better. It's going to be difficult for you to tell a kinetic learner to sit in a particular position. You know, they are active, they are everywhere, they want to see, they are curious. Okay, I want to touch it, I want to smell, I want to feel it, I want to know what it looks like, I want to know, everything. They just want to be involved. So you trying to say songs would work better for that child, you are going to in fact be trying so hard and it will never work. But for this child, they want to know, they want to be active. So every parent must have come across such a child, or must even have that particular child in their house. So it's always better to see the signs. Now for an auditory learner, they prefer to listen more.
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Okay, so they prefer to listen more. They prefer to, listen. They get information even from your lip whispering. It's very easy. You notice that the child trying to. That's it. They try to, and they are always active in something that has to do with music and songs. It's very easy for you to, yeah. They learn through songs. The most of us, or the ones that I know that they are auditory learners, it's very easy for you to just sing songs. It rhymes, it works, and they learn it. It's even from cramming anyway.
Next
With others.
Yes.
Okay, I was talking about auditory learners. They actually enjoy group work that has to do with discussing information rather than, now in the house. If you know your child is actually an auditory learner, it's always good for you to involve them in decision making. Even though generally you ought to involve them, because they'll always have one or two things to say. You can pass across your message or pass across an information that way, because they learn more by retaining information through their ears actually. So that way they are discussing, they're learning. It's just the way both of us are having this discussion. That's the way they learn. So it's very easy for you to pass across a message. So that way, you see, communication flows. Communication is effective that way. Rather than trying to write down the rules in the house for an auditory learner and asking him to, read it out and, something like that. Do you get what I'm trying to say? That would work for a visual learner. Because he's seeing the picture of the rules and regulations of the do's and don'ts in the house. So the child is like, these are the rules. You can even, for a visual learner now, you can add pictures to it. Something like that. Exactly. So it can work for a visual learner, not an auditory learner. Then the kinetic learner, if you're trying to pass across a message or something, you have to show them by doing, not by talking. So you keep talking and talking and talking and talking and talking, and nothing's gonna happen. They have to see it. So for instance, okay, I'm showing you, do not touch what's like something wrong. I'm looking for an example here. Do not touch maybe a hot stove, for instance. You've been telling that kinetic learner not to touch the hot stove for a long time, right? But no, because you've been talking. But now you're going to show your kinetic child, a kinetic learner now, who's your child, what it feels like when you touch the hot stove. Touching that hot stove, seeing what's happening to them, and they are never going there. They've learned that way. Not, don't go there. Do not touch it. You don't have to touch it. It's not going to work because they don't learn or they don't even listen. It doesn't work for them like that. Exactly. So for those kids, you just have to, it's just in the little things.
Observation.
Are we back?
Yes. I'm here. Yeah, we're back.
It's everything written for them and pictures. So they enjoy reading books. They enjoy, they find it difficult to retain verbal instruction, for instance,
for the visual learner.
Maps, pictures to, in fact, it can be fun. If they enjoy road trips, you can ask them to draw a location, maps and all that. They can easily get it. It's very easy for them. In as much as we're talking about these three forms, a child can possess all three, but it's the parents' duty to find which is dominant, amongst the three. So you don't have the issue of repeating yourself. You don't have the issue of trying to help your child pass their grades at school.
Right.
That way now, for instance, as a parent, you already know your child's learning style. It's easier for you to communicate it to the teacher at school, because if you leave it to the teacher to do that, first of all, teaching job isn't easy. Everybody knows that. Now, after a year or 9 months, your child is going to another class. Now you're giving that responsibility to that teacher to work with.
Right.
So it means that if it's my duty as a teacher to discover maybe 16 pupils in my class or about 12 pupils in my class, their learning styles. After these 12 pupils are gone, I'll be left with the responsibility to discover the second set of 12 every year. It will be stress for my part.
That's true.
But your own child is your own child. You already know it, and it's very easy. So if, for instance, now a parent, you as a parent, you're in school, my child learns this way. This is what in fact, not just about learning style, talk about some things, basic information, things about your child. So it's very easy, exactly. It's very easy to work with your child, and then you'll see results. So if, for instance, now we have set of parents, they've come to the school to talk about their child's learning style. Now the teacher can do it in a simpler form. Group the children into these groups, presets.
Right.
Now we know the auditory learner likes group discussion. Okay, so give them the responsibility of talking about something, brainstorming and talking about something. Then work with the the visual learners, because now those ones, once those ones are done with brainstorming, the visual can jot down and work with pictures, and then now visualize whatever the auditory learner has given them the points. They can write it down, do whatever it is, They'll send it to the kinetic learner. The kinetic learner can now, what's the word to
make
use
a
now?
presentation.
Thank you. So it's very easy because those ones are involved. They are working with it. So more like group, you all in basic 5, for instance, go and find a way to plant beans, and let's just tell us what it is. So it's easier for the auditory learner to talk. How do we find the beans? How do we get it? How do we do this? They are talking about the basic stage, the initial stage. Now the visual learners are there trying to draw out what it looks like. This is what it is, the planning and all that, because that's how it can work. Then the kinetic learner can now be, okay, we're planting the beans, for instance. We are going to water the beans. We're going to do this, and it's going to grow because they are involved. And it doesn't mean the 3 of them have not learned anything. No one is left out now.
Excellent. This makes a lot of sense. Teachers need to get.
So it makes it easier for both parents, teachers, and even the kids, because everyone's effort is evident. Unlike even in the university, and then like in university, when you're asked to be in a group or something, or whatever it is, so people are not participating because it's really not, no one is participating. But this way, we know their strength, so you actually capitalize on their strength and then work with it. More of their strength anyway. So we already know kinetic learners, they have to be involved, move, tapping. Now you already know these are in the little things. So for someone who is who likes to write and read, like that's the visual learner. In your shopping list, you can ask your visual learner child, your kid who has that learning style, to write your shopping list for you. These are, you can get them involved. They are learning. They can even ask you, Mommy, I can't spell right. Exactly. That way they learn how to spell some certain things. You are getting them involved. They are writing it down. Now the kinetic learner can actually follow it to the supermarket or the shopping mall to see what it looks like. Now they are seeing that, okay, now you've asked your visual learner to write down the list of the list of things you want to buy in the supermarket. So with the list and the price, those ones are not there. But now your kinetic learner is in a supermarket with you, seeing the price tag on the store. It stays there. It's very easy to say, how much did you get a pack of milk the last time? They remember because they followed you there. They were picking it from the cart and and exactly. So it's like that. These are the little things to get to know your child's learning style. It's not in the big things. It's just in the little things, because these things, children exhibit these characteristics. It's very easy to know these are the things. So if you try, I used to have a kid then who didn't know how to read at that age, but it was quite difficult. I think it was already 6 or so. He did not know how to read. Yeah. The teachers had complained, and I really do not blame teachers, to be honest. They are consumed with in fact, I don't even need to talk so much about teachers, because the lockdown had taught parents what the duty of a teacher, the responsibilities and everything. Because I've been seeing it on Twitter, on Instagram, how parents have been looking forward to resumption. So yes, they already know the duties, they already know what teachers go through. So I used to have a kid who did not know how to read at that time. That age, he was 6. Unknown to the teacher, he was the picture person. He was a visual learner, more of a visual learner than an audio learner. Like I said, a child can possess more than one, but one is dominant. Yes. So exactly. So he was, like I said, was a visual learner. I'm reading the comments. I'm a bit distracted. Let me see if I can.
I saw the comment as well.
Okay.
They will go back to,
they are back. They will go back. I'm sure school has resumed already. So I'm guessing they are
Yes.
back. So I had this visual learner
Mm.
who, of course, would do well with picture books and all that rather than music and songs.
Mm.
He was basically cramming in school just to make the teachers happy and just to get through
Wow.
with the whole issue. Exactly. He did not know how to read these basic things. He did not know how to do that. So it was my duty at first. I had tried, or I didn't want to try all three because that would be stressful on my part. I watched him closely because, first of all, relationship matters. That's where you can take your time to understand the child, know what the child likes, what the child dislikes, and every other thing. So I noticed that this child always draws. He doesn't hesitate to draw. You can be saying something now, and the best way you can process it now is to be drawing. He will be drawing for you. He can draw for and color. So
Mm.
I took my time to notice that, and that was it for me. It was very easy for me to help out with the child, to teach that child. So I told him, this is what we'll do. Since we don't know what those basic things are, because other people would have started with Queen's Primer, IT, IS, that's teaching by cramming. They have to be cramming that,
Mm.
which we don't have. So I told him, if we have to continue, then we'll be drawing. Now I'm working with his own interest. First of all, he likes drawing. So it's very easy.
Yeah.
You're going to draw
He doesn't see it
these
as
things I'm
work.
telling you. Exactly.
Mm.
It's not even stressful for him at all. Learning is fun.
Right.
Learning is fun
Yeah.
for him in that way. So we're going to be drawing these things I'm saying. I'm writing them down. I'm saying it. You are going to draw it for me. Now you're going to just random stuff draw, and not just drawing. Now going to be like, it's going to look like a comic book. And you know, comic books like
Mm.
Super Strikers, like what this voice like. So comic book contains information, words they say
Mm-hmm.
to each other, you know, people exactly. So it's not just blank. It's not about drawing Spider-Man or any of the Avengers superhero, you know. It's about,
Mm.
yeah. So if I'm drawing Spider-Man, Spider-Man is saying this to Thor.
Think
He's
to,
saying this to
yeah.
exactly. So he's saying something to this. So even when it's wrong, he's interested in correcting the wordings now.
Mm. Mm.
Mr. Joyce, this is correct. This is how to spell back. This is how, I mean,
Mm.
not the back to back to, I mean, the back for your back, not back like a dog is backing. I'm like, okay, it's
Right.
okay. Try back. So it's easier for him to learn that way rather than trying to say back. You are forcing it on him to learn, and he's cramming and he's doing all that. So it's in
He's not
their
happy.
interest. Yeah, it's in the little things they do around you. It's just for you to take your time to study the little things they are doing around you. There's a
Right.
hyper kid. We've all met a very hyper kid before, so
One or
you
two.
already know they have to be active. You don't tell that hyper kid to sit down. They have to be involved. Like I said, I told the other girls class teacher to make her the class captain, so she's involved in making, you know, she's involved in the activities, everything, because now she has to be everywhere. You know, she's in charge of submission and collection of notes, every
Mm.
other thing exactly. Or if you say, if you call her to get anything, she's learning that way for you. Oh, be the leader, be the one to direct them to do this. She's learning. You
Right.
understand?
Yeah.
Mistakes we make
Awesome.
as adults or even as parents is that we see this
Mm.
straight and we always see it as something negative instead of channeling it into something positive.
Mm.
Help them. You can turn it into something that will help them. It's a strength. We shouldn't see it as some sort of a weakness. You know,
Awesome. Yeah.
exactly. So for like
It's
I
not a
was
big
making
deal.
an
Yeah.
instead of a hyper kid. Yes, I was talking about a hyper kid. So the kid is hyper. You are angry. Of course, sometimes it can be annoying that they're hyper because you can't sleep in the house. Quite alright, but you can engage them, charge them with something that has to make them be a
Yeah.
leader in the
Listen to
house.
you. Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
and communication helps. Okay, I have to sleep now. Make sure everybody in the house is settled. Let them take that role of the parent, assistant parent. You see them, they'll be happy to do that. for the child who is not somewhere. So there'll be one checking, okay, mommy is sleeping. Mommy said I should do this. Mommy said I should do that. Mommy said I should,
Right.
Yes, you've charged them with that responsibility. So that's basically just adjust little things like I said, and how to get to find out a child's learning style. Very, very little things. Very, very little. Just the little things. You don't have to wait till something happens. Your child likes to sing, obviously, auditory, reading, sound. You know, your child likes to write, likes to read, visual. Exactly.
Child likes
it's glued to the TV or something, Exactly. The child likes to move, likes to be involved, wants to see, it's not just seeing, wants to touch, wants to feel it. What's this? What does it taste like? What's this? They already know. It's kinetic. You don't have to stress it. You don't have to force the audio thing on the child. Even though, like I said, I'm still repeating that it's possible for a particular child to have more than one learning style. But there is basically one that is dominant. So you don't have to, away from the little signs.
So if I were to put your words differently now, I'd say that a child may have all three. There's a dominant one. And then when you want to communicate with that child, you want to communicate in the language of that dominant one, right? So it doesn't mean that the child cannot be visual today or auditory tomorrow. Channel it, support it, don't discard it, and don't see it as a negative, like you said. Don't see it as a problem. See it as the nature of the child and run with it. But as a parent, you want to tell your child to do something. You don't want to tell your kinetic child, you don't want to make a list for your kinetic child, because in their activity, they're going to forget, right? And you want to put those giftings, those capabilities to good use, good and efficient use, because it is inbuilt, that it is the way they are and the way they learn, and you want to make the most of the resources that you have in that child. Would that be correct?
Yes, it will be very correct. Very correct.
All right. Thank you. So I want to ask quickly, is it possible for children to evolve? Maybe at a younger age, they exhibit a particular learning style. And as they grow older, maybe with some maturity or something that a parent did, can they evolve into learning a different way, successfully, efficiently as well?
Very possible. Very, very possible for them to evolve. Like I said now, it depends. I said a child can have more than one, right? So as time goes on, you are getting to know that now you've not worked with the dominant one, right? So you evolve. Yeah, you begin to move and work with the ones that are not so dominant as time goes on. So for instance, I was going to say, okay, for instance, some people work better at night. They actually perform better at night. Some perform better during the day. So for people who perform better at night, don't you think freelancing would work for them?
I beg your pardon?
For those who perform better at night, don't you think freelancing would work for them? Yes.
Right.
Freelancing would work for people who perform better. Exactly, because rather than 9 to 5. At night, I'm functioning, I'm active, I want to brainstorm, I want to do everything. So I can freelance. You see, these are the things you just have to. Oh, there's a question down there.
Yes. Please go on. Should I read it to you?
Okay, so yeah.
Okay, are these learning styles consistent with adults too?
Yes, of course. You can only understand learning styles yourself before you can teach it. You can't teach what you don't know. So even as adults, it's your duty to know your own learning style, what works for you. You understand? Exactly. It's your own duty. If you don't know something, you can't pass it on to your child or to your children. You get it? So with adults, it's actually consistent. It helps you learn faster. Apart from learning, it helps you communicate better. For instance, if I get to know that you are more of the visual person, I wouldn't be putting a phone call across to you all the time. I'd rather type.
Right.
You know, I'd rather type. I'd rather just type rather than calling you. I'll do away with phone calls. So that way we are on the same part, exactly on the same page. Thank you. On the same page, no issues. Not trying to enforce my own form of communication on you. Now I know you are the type of person who likes to read more often. I've noticed you're the book person, you're the nerd, you like to buy books, you talk more about books. I'd rather type rather than calling you. If you notice, some of the people who like to read books, they don't like phone calls, to be honest. I have a couple of them. So I know, yes, they don't really like phone calls. Why are you calling me?
You like I don't like phone calls.
Because you're like, what is it that you want to say that you can't type? Something like that. So these are the things, exactly. So I'd rather read than want to listen, something like that, I'd rather just do with pictures. So that works. So yes, they are actually consistent with adults too. Once you know your learning style, you can run with that. Very easy. And that actually translates into our relationships. Yes, it translates into our relationships. It translates into a lot, because now that forms a part of our communication,
Yes.
Like I get the instance of trying to call or something. That helps because we already know I'm not the phone call person or I'm not the text message person. I would like to see you in person. I would like to go with you, or don't tell me about the event that when I want to be there. That's the kinetic learner now, for instance. I want to be there with you. I want to, be active in it. That works. So you can now know how to work with people, compromise and all that, because it forms a whole part of our lives, to be honest. We look at it as something which is very little or trivial, but it's very important. Very, very important.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Children are fluid. So maybe at the end of the day, they're not evolving. Maybe we're the ones who are catching up to what their learning styles might be. I think there's a possibility that that's the case. It's not that they are changing. It's that we are becoming more aware and accepting of how they learn. So we're identifying it and becoming smarter at recognizing what their learning style is. So let's wrap this up in a bow now. Going forward, as a parent, as a teacher, how can we use this knowledge to the advantage of our children? How can we deploy it? How can we make the children's experiences with us as parents and as teachers better, knowing their learning styles? You've touched on it, but just help us, give us a final word, kind of like marching orders, like go forth and do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H.
Go forth and do. Okay. Okay, so going forward, how you can you repeat the question again for me? You see why I'm also having this issue too.
The network, I'm so sorry. How we can use this information that you have shared with us today about learning styles, how we can use it to the advantage of the children going forward.
Oh, okay. I think I've even talked about it going forward. It actually helps them. Yeah. Apart from communication, talking about schoolwork now, of course, it will help improve their grades. There is no way you would teach a child in the way they want to learn and they wouldn't improve in school or at school, Their grades will definitely improve for sure. It helps with relationships, like I said, communication too. So yes, it helps them to relate better with people because now they understand this is the best way to learn. Now, if you're also forgetting how your child learns, your child is reminding you. Mommy, can you write it down for me? Right now, you know that there's no way they read it themselves, they process it, they absorb, process it, comprehend, retain the information before they can now, run with it. It's very easy that way. Going forward, it actually helps. It's very important anyway, because I don't even know how to emphasize on the importance of a learning style. It's much more than the little we are talking about now. And relationship with people will take us far.
Right.
If we have a good relationship with people, there is basically nothing that would be so difficult for us to do. There is no clash. Adults now even find it difficult to discover their learning styles. It's even more difficult now because we are backed up with a lot of interest. In fact, some of our hobbies are gone, some of our interests. So we are even trying to find new hobbies, new interests. Exactly. So unlike a child, you can see from growing, from right from the point they are growing up, you can see some things that they're actually exhibiting and some characteristics you can see, and this is how best they can, with your exactly. So it's just like when we were younger, some of us wanted to be doctors, lawyers, but what we are actually are now is more from what we wanted to be while growing up. More like it's changing. But if we had worked on some of our hobbies or some of the characteristics we exhibited as at that time, it won't be difficult for us to build on them now.
And find our place.
Exactly. It won't be at all. So going forward, it's
know your child's learning style. Help the teacher. Talk to be observant, observe, know, identify, communicate it to the teacher. Miss Olori, I'm doing this thing for you. I will charge you.
Yeah. So basically that's it anyway. It helps everyone.
Yes, take responsibility, and it's useful information for yourself, for your child. Communicate it to the teacher so that they can take that into consideration and then manage the expectations when they are addressing your child. So they're not giving your child responsibilities that are not congruent with their learning style. So they're not asking your kinetic child to just sit down and be copying notes, and all of that. They're getting the child involved. Yes. Or they're not upset that your auditory child is asking so many questions and asking why, and they're not, this child wants an explanation. So they know what to expect so that they can give your child the best that they can offer. Because if they don't know, they can't do beyond what they know, right? So if they know, they'll be able to do better by your children. Shay, that's about that.
That works.
Thank you so much, Miss Olori. Thank you for having. Is there something else you wanted to say?
Oh no, there's really nothing to add. Okay. You said it all. You had paraphrased for me, so that was.
Abby, thank you so much for sharing with us this evening. Thank you for giving us almost an hour. Wow. Thank you so,
really?
so
I enjoyed doing this. I didn't even know that.
Yes, it's 49 minutes now. So we're getting close to an hour. Thank you so very much. We appreciate you. Thank you. Have a great rest.
Thank you for having me too.
No, it is you that you should thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing with us. And we'll be reaching out to you in future. You will answer.
No problem. I'm here. No problem. Take care of yourself. It's been a pleasure here. I enjoyed myself. I had fun.
Yes, we did. Oh, wow. I'm glad. I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you to everyone who joined us this evening. Thank you in advance to everyone who will be watching this later. I hope this information is useful for you. I know it is useful for you. I hope you will put it to use and help those children be the best that they can be. You be the best that you can be for them and to them, so that you can help them be the best that they can be. Thank you again. See you next time we have a live session. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Peace. Okay. So she has left. So I hope we all learned something useful today. I believe the information she shared, stellar quality information, and I hope that we will put it to use, learn how, observe so that you can know how your child learns, communicate it to their teacher. Let their teacher know this is what you have observed. And she also mentioned that it can be fluid. It can be, what's the word now? It can appear to evolve even when we have not been observant. When we realize it, we think it has changed. It's possible that it has changed. It's possible that it has not. But what is important is that we know it and that we can use it when we communicate in our relationships, in our conversations, in our expectations with our children. Thank you for watching today. See you soon in a week or so. Take care of yourselves and each other. Bye-bye.